Good morning, friends. Happy Easter Monday to you. It is time for our Gameplan Book Club, and I am so glad that you came today because we are covering three big topics, chapters 16, 17, and maybe 18 if we have time. Starting off with compliance and some information about how to always be speaking above the wellness line. Chapter 17 are the basics of the compensation plan, and chapter 18 is strategy for structure and how to organize your team in such a way that it is the most beneficial for you and the most beneficial for your new members. So we're going to jump right in. Quick survey in the chat box or with a show of hands. How many of you have been enrolled longer than 18 months? Okay, so that's about everybody here. Okay, perfect. So that means that you all kind of remember when everything hit the fan and the FDA changed our rules and kind of, it changed our focus. For a lot of us, it was a learning curve that was sometimes painful and sometimes empowering, because in a lot of ways, even though we had to kind of relearn how we were doing things, in many ways, I think it was a blessing because it removed us from being tempted to make medical claims. And really, that's not something that we wanted to do before, but I think we kind of leaned that direction because it was sort of easy. So we're going to just talk. I know I feel like everybody in our group does a pretty darn good job with this because it is something that we have been teaching. This is not your first introduction to FDA compliance. So I'm going to kind of hit the high points today, and we're going to make this as easy as we can for everybody. So the big picture here that I want you to remember is when we are talking about how to speak compliantly, how to post on social media compliantly, what you need to remember is this. I'm going to give you a very simple visual, okay? You're going to remember this forever. Okay? It's not going to be terribly complicated, but it takes great artistic skills. Okay, ready? This is the line that you need to remember, okay? This is the line that we stay above, and everything above the line, even though I know it's backwards and you probably can't read it, or no, it's right. Okay, perfect. I forget if I'm on Facebook Live or I'm on Zoom. Okay, so above the line is wellness. So this is supporting all of the systems that are going on in our body. We can talk about that with our vitality oils all day long, okay? Our emotions, all of our body systems, everything, we can talk about wellness because it's above the line. Below the line, any form of sickness, anything that is less than ideal, disease, injury, sickness, anything that doctors can diagnose, all of that falls below the line, and we never are going to talk about that, especially on social media, okay? Because that's where we have to be extremely conservative. Now, when we are together in home classes, when you are in Rhonda's living room and she's sharing a class, Rhonda has my blessing to share what those oils really do, okay, with Rhonda's group of friends. This is actually a directive from Gary and Mary Young themselves, okay? But we have to be wise, okay? So we don't want to leave a trail, so to speak. Okay, anything that could ever come back to get you. That's why I love face-to-face meetings. I love meeting people for coffee. I love having home classes because we can share those stories. So Amy asked, what about private texts? Private text will leave a trail. And I'm not saying that any harm will come, but I'm saying that anything like that could be searched. And so I feel the same way about when team members message me. They might private message me and they'll say, I didn't want to put this on the page because I didn't want anybody to see me asking about XYZ. And I said, that's great. Let's talk on the phone, or let's go meet for coffee, or come over. It's just safer that way, okay? And I know that sounds crazy, you guys, but that is exactly what we have been asked to do. But here's the kicker. When we have a class, or when we're meeting with somebody and we are being transparent, we are sharing what these oils are really capable of, the people that we are sharing with, they have to know these rules also. So if Cammie has a meeting in her house with her friends and she shares some great tips that may be, you know, what we wouldn't post on social media, her friends need to understand that they can't go out in the driveway when that class is done and say, oh my gosh, I was just at Cammie's house and I just learned da 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 da, and they throw it up on their Facebook page. Does that make sense? So we have to continue to educate people about what FDA compliance is. At the same time, we're educating them on what the oils do, okay? So let's talk about social media, because this is really where everybody is the most at stake to be watched, okay? They actually have watchdogs that are scouring all of our social media all the time. So we're going to be squeaky clean on social media. That means that in terms of graphics, be conservative about what you're claiming in your graphic. I love the kinds that leave a little bit to the imagination, that kind of make you piece things together, and they don't spell it out necessarily, but it's more interesting. So, you know, I always talk about like posting a picture of a bottle of Stress Away in front of a flat tire or something like that, and saying, boy, I'm sure glad that I had this with me today. You don't have to say that Stress Away, you know, cures anxiety and removes all the stress and yada, yada, yada. You just have to post a picture that speaks for itself, because remember, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? Let your pictures work. So does that mean that you have to be more creative about how you market things? Yes, it does, but that's okay. You're smart people. We know how to do that. So you think about what you want to say, and then you think about how you can say that compliantly and make it work. Now, what I wouldn't do, I would not put a picture of deep relief in front of, you know, a complicated bone fracture or something where the bone is protruding out of the skin and saying, you know, this helped this. Like, that's obviously below the wellness line. Does that make sense? And so you're implying that that is going to fix that, and that would be a no-no. So frankly, I don't ever need to see your bleeding, gory, disgusting pictures on Facebook, ever, because that's nasty. Let's just think above the wellness line all the time, and that'll work. Okay, so here's another important one. If you've got a Facebook page for yourself or for your team, or a public page that you just are attracting people to build your audience, do not post links to articles that could be implied or that just flat out are not compliant. So if you're trying to be sneaky and say like, oh, well, I didn't say this, but this article that I found says that, you know, thieves kills bacteria. Well, we can't say that. And if you post a link to that article, then you are held responsible because that is on your page. And furthermore, we have been told that anybody who comments or likes that article is also held responsible. So just read them, enjoy them, but I would not propagate that kind of stuff, okay? And believe me, there's a lot of stuff out there that is incredibly interesting that I know we want to share. We want our whole world to read it, but we can't if you want to be in good standing, okay? Let's see. We talked about not implying things. So Sarah talks about, if you're writing a post or if you're doing a blog article or that kind of thing, I would steer clear from using trigger words that would attract attention to you, okay? So using any of those diagnosable words like cancer or like fibromyalgia, I can just guarantee you, because I've been through the compliance process with legal, I can tell you with certainty, they will just go to your account and search for some of those hot button words. They'll put in cancer and just see what comes up. So if you don't use those trigger words, don't say fibromyalgia, don't say depression, or don't, whatever, the word might be, we're just not going to use that in our descriptions. She also says here, the rule of thumb is if you can buy it at Walgreens, it is probably FDA approved. So things like sunscreen, bug spray, inhalers, eczema cream, all of that kind of stuff that we would think about buying at a drugstore, those are probably things that we do not want to talk about. The oils in the way that those items would be used. So, you've heard us talk 100 times, we make outdoor spray, okay? I say it so much now that I don't even think twice about it, but I know I was doing classes here at my house last week, and people were like, why do you call it outdoor spray? Well, because we can't call it bug spray, because that's something that you can go buy at the pharmacy, which I know that seems crazy, but it's just the way it is. So we're going to play by their rules. Same thing with sunscreen, okay? We can make whatever you want to call it. Summer skin cream. I don't know what you want to call it. Just get people the resources so they can look up the recipes themselves. That's really the answer. Here's a big one. Do not ask leading questions or teaser questions on your Facebook page that will get you in trouble. I see this a lot. So our job is to try to stir up conversation and to help, draw your audience in. But if you ask the kinds of questions that tempt people to give you non-compliant answers, you're asking for trouble, okay? And then you have to go back through and delete those or clean them up or ask people to edit them. So, for example, she says, if you were to ask, what's your favorite use for Panaway? How many compliant answers are people going to give you, right? Like, we know what Panaway is for. It's for pain. Hello? But that's a tough one to lead with on your Facebook page, because that's going to be tricky. So what I'm saying is don't set traps for your team or for people. Sometimes asking what you have in your diffuser is a great question, and I've actually done that. But sometimes people may say, oh, I've got it loaded up with thieves and RC because everybody's sick around here, right? And we don't want to do that, okay? Because we want to talk about wellness. So, favorite springtime diffuser recipes, or, what are you using to wind down at night? I think you can probably do that if you're specific, but just try not to set traps for people so that they're feeling bad, like, oh, I didn't mean to say something wrong. We want to make this easy, okay? The FDA will look at every single thing on your page. It's not just your wall. So in the About Me section, they will read the reviews on your Facebook page. So just be careful how you talk about what it is you do for a living. If you mention something about Young Living and you say, you know, I diagnose, treat, cure, and heal all my friends because I'm a Young Living distributor. Obviously, you guys aren't going to say that, but we want to be careful that in that About Me section that we're also compliant, because they will take a look at that. A whole different social media training. I know that a lot of people talk about not even mentioning what it is that you do or who you represent on your public page. You kind of keep that for the second conversation. I can argue that both sides. So I'm not critical. I actually, if you look at my Facebook page right now, it does say Young Living. But I see the other point of that. I know I was working with one team member this weekend who's starting up a website, and she said, I'm not going to put Young Living out there. It's just about health and wellness so that I can draw people in, and then we'll have a conversation, you know, as they express interest. I think that that's a very viable method, and it's a very popular method. A lot of our top leaders do keep their page fairly generic, and because their goal is to generate curiosity. They want people to wonder, what do you do for a living? You know, why are you always home? Why are you always traveling? That kind of thing. So that can come later. Other forms of social media, Twitter, Instagram. I don't know if anybody here Periscope anymore? I gave that one up. It drove me bonkers. Okay, we won't waste our time talking about that one. So the key here is to talk about how you are using the oils and not what you're using them for. Okay, so this is a great way to stay broad, to create curiosity, to pique interest without being tempted to go down that path of going below the wellness line. So her example is perfect. Today I'm diffusing RC. It smells great. I love eucalyptus. Okay, is there anything not compliant about that? Nope, it's perfect. So you're going to create interest. RC, what is that? Eucalyptus. I don't know if I've ever smelled eucalyptus. And you'll get people wondering and maybe asking you some questions that way. What we would not want to post is upper respiratory infection, broke out my oils. Okay, that might be how you're feeling, but that's not what we're going to say. Okay. And also just, I mean, as leaders in Young Living, we are modeling a health and wellness lifestyle. So it's probably not a great idea to publicly post about every illness that we have in general. Okay. And I'm not saying at all, I mean, I still fall below the wellness line periodically. I was down for the count for 2 weeks in December, but I chose not to make that a daily post. Okay, I was definitely using a lot of stuff to support myself. But so temper what you post based on what you're trying to create for a lifestyle here. Okay. Let's see here. So let's talk about classes. When you do classes, especially, well, obviously online, all of the same rules are going to apply. If I'm doing a large class or an event, it will be totally compliant. Okay, always, especially, you know, if there are people in that event that I do not know, we're modeling total compliance. So the only time that I feel at ease being completely transparent with what I've learned over the last 10 years is when I'm meeting one-on-one with someone, or I've got a small group of people in my living room. Okay, that's when the real stories are going to be shared. Okay, if you hold a make and take class, this is important. I know that a lot of you do that. I'm not so big on make and takes personally, but number one, don't put Young Living's name on the bottles. Okay, and you need to, they say don't name the blends. I do that. Like for my own family, for personal labeling, I do. What Sarah Harnish recommends here is to just write the oils that are in the blend. So cinnamon, clove, rosemary, whatever. Don't have bins that say pain cream or sunscreen. Now, what I will do is some pretty generic words like focus or breathe. And I'm not making a claim, I'm just putting a word on there if it's something that's for our family. But there again, I've never done a big make and take for a bunch of people. Obviously, you want to stay away from words like antibiotic, antiseptic, antiviral. You guys know that part, okay? Books. Sarah's a little bit probably more conservative, but that's okay because she's writing a book. And so she says, a lot of people ask about how you're supposed to educate the people on your team. The FDA does allow you to have a table of books for sale at your classes. They do allow that, but there's 2 rules. First of all, keep them on a table separate from the oils and ideally outside of the room that you're teaching in. And 2, have more than 1 book for sale because otherwise you're promoting only one author. And it breaks federal law to give books away as an incentive for buying the starter kit. You can absolutely have them for sale. So I do not ever give books away as an incentive to enroll, but I have been known to give surprise gifts after the enrollment that they had no idea were coming, okay? So like a little welcome book or a brochure on the oils in the kit or something like that, I will absolutely do. But it's not the kind of thing that you can say, if you enroll, I'm going to give you this. So do you understand the difference there? That exchange is what is not okay. I have no qualms promoting, and you've seen me do it on our Facebook group, publishers who have excellent resources. So continue to put that word out. Send them the entire Life Science Publishers website. I like to include that in my email to new members. Send them the Abundant Health for You website. Now, we have received word that Gary and Mary prefer Life Science Publishers over Abundant Health, but I will be honest with you, as a leader, I don't care where the education comes from as long as it's solid. And so either one of those reference books is fine by me. Frankly, I like to have both because I think that the Abundant Health reference book is a little bit more easy to understand for brand new members. But I know that Gary wrote the content for the Life Science desk reference, and so it's got a little bit more science to it. And so I think that they're a good marriage. But obviously when people are just getting started, they may or may not have the resources to get both. So just put them out there. It's our job to set the table like a buffet, and then they can choose what they want. Amy asks, can we share oiltestimonials.com, or is that sharing a link with non-compliance? Oh, that's a good one. I know that I certainly have shared it in the past, Amy. It's a good question. Any other compliance experts know on that one? I don't know if I would put it on my public. I probably wouldn't put it on my public page. I tell a lot of people about that one. That's a good question. I may have to read up a little bit more on that one. Cammie, do you know on that? Okay. So I probably wouldn't, I'd probably do word of mouth a lot on that. But if you guys have not visited that one, oiltestimonials.com, it is absolutely excellent. Let us know if any of the rest of you have input on that. Very good. Okay, so the other thing is to keep all of this in mind. So even reading Sarah's chapter, I know can scare the bejeebers out of people. But here's what I want you to know. This has not halted growth at all. Like, we're back. We are thriving. We are learning to work within new parameters. And none of us need to be concerned that this is anything that will stunt the growth of your business or of Young Living's business, because it's not, okay? We had the largest month ever in Young Living last month in March. And so there's no excuses. It's there for the taking. But I think a lot of it is mindset, as is everything in this business, right? It's what we choose to focus on. So if we're thinking, as we're preparing classes and going about our daily work, if we're thinking, oh my gosh, this is so hard, there's nothing left I can say, that's going to permeate your belief system in how you deliver this. Okay, I honestly think that I have been freed from the responsibility of people acting like I'm their doctor, which I was never ever trying to set that scenario at all, but I think that was sort of the implied thing, like, oh, if you're my leader, you can tell me what I need to use for everything. You don't want me to tell you what you can use for everything, okay? And because this change occurred, it's a wonderful weight lifted off of our shoulders. We do not have to do that. Our job is to empower people. That is the most important word that you need to remember about your entire business. You are empowering them with knowledge, with tools, with resources, with products, with opportunities. Empower, empower, empower. Not do it for them, but make them stronger to rise up on their own strength, okay? So I want to know, in the chat box, I'm going to ask you to do something here. On a scale of 1 to 10, if 1 is, I am scared to death, and 10 is, no problem, I've got this, where are you right now on the compliance scale? How do you feel? Because that will help me. Perfect, Cammie. Excellent. Okay. Yay. All right, good deal. Good deal. Hey, Cindy Miracle. Good to see you. Cindy's here. Yay. Okay, perfect. So everybody's feeling pretty good. And I think I'm on that end as well. We're still learning, but the kicker is, you guys, just don't let it hinder your growth and your development, okay? It does not need to do that. All right, we are at 12:17. Let's go on to chapter 17, because this is absolutely fantastic. This was one, oh wait, no it's not. Sorry, I was thinking 18. Okay, 17 is the compensation plan. And you know what I'm going to do? Well, this is super quick here, but I did a really, really in-depth hour-and-a-half long class on Thursday Night Live, all about the compensation plan in the business. And what I'm going to do is ask for everybody to go back and watch that if you need a refresher on the comp plan, because I kind of poured my heart into that one. I'm going to lift up a couple of things for you here that I want everybody to have in the forefront of their mind. This was a riveting change for me when I learned that our language and our verbiage of what we tell new members changes our paycheck. So when you're talking to a new member about the opportunity to share, and you say, yeah, for every person that you enroll, you earn $50. Okay, that was the old way that I used to do it. Then I went to a training, and I wish I could remember who I heard it from first, but I went to a training and I learned to change the way that I explain the comp plan, and to instead say, for each person that you enroll, you earn a $25 Fast Start bonus, and you earn 25% of their order. Now think about those two ways of explaining it. Which way would you be more inclined to offer additional products to sell? The Ningxia Red, or the household cleaner, or the thieves kit? If I say you have a fixed $50 paycheck coming, in my mind, what I always used to think was, no matter what they bought, I'm going to earn $50. So why should I try to upsell or promote anything else, right? But on the other hand, if I say you get $25, that's set, and 25% of whatever else they order, I'm going to be way more likely to be talking about supplements and personal care products and home care products and all of that. Does that make sense? So that is a really big mind shift change in how I explain how we earn money, okay? The next thing that I want to just have become a permanent part of our culture is this right here, the Rising Star Team Bonus. Now, in my group, I've got a hustle group running for silver right now. And last night, we spent about an hour and a half talking strategy. And this was a good portion of what we discussed. So you need to become intimately familiar with that, because here's the thing. When you set that foundation really, really strong, everybody on your team is going to experience wonderful growth. So the first step, I'm just going to talk you through really quick. Your first goal in establishing this Rising Star bonus is to enroll 3 people on Essential Rewards at 100 PV each, and then each of them needs to have an OGV of 300. That is step 1. So everybody take a look at your virtual office and at your downline. And I know that in this group, we're kind of all over the board on experience and team size and that kind of thing, which is awesome. But when you get that first step established, and you've got 3 people that are on ER, and all 3 of those people have an OGV of 300, you will get 1 share of the Rising Star Team Bonus. And I don't know, is anybody in here getting that currently? Nope. Okay. So I want to say that that bonus is somewhere around 50. I can't remember. I never remember that number because I'm on the next phase, and so maybe somebody does remember. I see Cammie typing. That's always a good sign. We'll see. But the other thing that you need to know is that that time period, that's what I was just going to say, the time period is 24 months. So if you have exceeded the 24 months, then that Rising Star Team bonus expires. So you don't get to keep it forever, okay? So it goes on after you earn your 1 share. There's 2 more phases, and you can earn a total of 6 shares, which can add, you know, upwards of $300 to your paycheck for doing what you're already supposed to be doing anyway, which is growing leaders. So just make sure that you look into that. I'm going to try my best to continue to keep that in the conversation, because that's something that our new people need to know about. The other thing that we always want to keep in front of folks, especially when people hit star for the first time, we want to keep the Elite Express in front of them, okay? So everybody should always have an Elite Express page printed out that you understand, first of all, but also one to share with your new people. So when somebody hits star for the first time on your team, do you think it would be a good idea to email them a copy, or better yet, to scratch them a little note? Congratulations, here's some information about what you are now, you know, on track to earn. Because if they can get from star to executive in 3 months, they earn a prize package of $424 for just doing what they're supposed to be doing, okay? All of that stuff is in your virtual office. You can go in the business members area, business tools, but it's also on page 152 and 153 in here, so you can read about it there as well. But those prize packages are nothing to sneeze at. They are significant, and I would love to see lots of people on the Heroes team start earning those. This is the program that replaced Silver in 6, which is kind of one slice of it that we used to have, and now they expanded it and they made it even better. So we just need to keep talking that up. Okay, we're going to do this, guys. We're getting clear through chapter 18. Woo-hoo-hoo! It's a good day. Okay, next up is a Young Living strategy guide on where to sign new Oilers. This is probably one of the most helpful chapters for me when I read this, because it talked about a real concrete method of structure. And you guys know my story. I grew to Diamond 100% organically. Like, there was no placement, there was no structure going on. It was total relationship based. Whoever I knew, I enrolled frontline. Whoever they knew, they enrolled frontline. And we just did that over and over and over and over. And it works, okay? But I'm here to say that if I can find a way to help you work smarter and not harder, I'm all for that. And if I can help you guys rank up quicker, why not, right? And the same for your teams. We want that to happen as well. So here's what I loved about what Sarah teaches in this chapter. She talks about always thinking 2 ranks ahead of where you are, okay? So Alyssa, can I use you for an example here? Alyssa is in a beautiful place because she is just getting started, and I'm so proud of her because she is attending events and she is learning everything that she can, and that means that as her team starts growing, we're going to help her grow in the smartest way possible, okay? So thinking 2 ranks ahead would mean thinking about executive for you. An executive has 2 legs. That's it. So right now, I don't even want Alyssa thinking about 6 legs. Okay, we're just going to concentrate on 2 and 2 only. But what Sarah says is that you need to work on enrolling enough people frontline so that you've got about 10 people on essential rewards. And do you know what that satisfies? If we look at our comp plan, in the middle of it, oh, that's hardly worth seeing, but there's a line here, the 3rd one down, that says PGV. And when you hit silver, you need 1,000 PGV. So the suggestion is get that PGV requirement out of the way early. And in the process of that, you will figure out who your builders are going to be, who the people are that are well connected, who the people are that are helpful, that have, great relationships, that kind of thing. So you're going to have classes and you're going to enroll people frontline. You're going to keep talking about the product use and how to change over to a chemical-free lifestyle. And in the meantime, those people are going to fall in love. They're going to get on essential rewards. And you are going to figure out how to work with the willing. That's my favorite line. Okay, there's no reason to work with those that are not willing. So we're going to work with the willing. So you've got your 10 people or so on essential rewards. That means that more than likely that 1,000 PGV requirement is already checked off. You'll never have to worry about it again. So then we're looking for who are the 2 that want to link arms with you. And as you continue to do classes, if you know that you are invested together, you may choose to strategically place new enrollees under those 2 people, okay? It does not mean that you have to, you guys. It's just an option, okay? You're going to want to help as many get to star and senior star as possible. And just discipline yourself to not jump ahead to those diamond legs when you're still at star. Just stay focused, okay? You can do that. Teaching with proper ratios. When I started, you guys know my story. I taught intro classes like they were water going down every day. I mean, just one after another of intro classes. And that was all that I worried about for probably the first, I know for sure the first 4 months. It might have even been the first 6 months. All I did was the same class over and over and over. And I got so good at it that I could do it in my sleep. Amy, it's okay. See ya. It was all intro classes. So Sarah suggests teach 3 intro classes or 3 101 classes for every specialty class you teach. And I would just add in there when you are ready. Okay? If teaching a beauty school class or teaching a pets and oils class freaks you out, don't worry about it. You don't have to. Okay? You can let others on your team, your upline, take care of that part. Okay? Go wide before you go deep. I kind of jumped ahead there, I guess, but that's where Sarah talks about getting that 1,000 PGV. Remember, personal group volume. Get that checked off before you worry about the legs. She goes into sponsor and enroller and how that breaks down. Again, that one is entirely up to you. I will give you my 2 cents on this topic, okay? So just so that we're clear, remember when you enroll someone, you use a member number for the sponsor and a member number for the enroller. Typically, it's the same person, okay? Typically, it'll be the same number. But just so that we're clear on the difference, I always think about it alphabetically. So E for enroller comes before S for sponsor. E, the enroller, gets all of the early bonuses. So they get the fast start bonus for the first 3 months. They get all of the enrollment bonus, okay? After the first 3 months is over, the sponsor will earn all of the residual income on the unilevel commission. Okay, so if you choose to split it, you just need to know that whoever's listed for enroller is going to get paid first and the sponsor gets all the later money. Now, there's a psychology behind this that you just have to consider how that's going to work for you and for your team. If you're choosing to divide the enroller and the sponsor, and you're enrolling a bunch of people and you're choosing to strategically place them, if you keep the enroller bonus for yourself and you place the people under someone else, I've seen it work. We know that it works, okay? The Lemon Dropper group has employed this technique and made it work amazingly. And so we know that that's possible, but I want to share the other side of it is that it can be demoralizing if you keep all the money and you put the people under someone else with the intent, you do the work, I'm going to keep the paycheck. Okay? So if that happens, so what it means, you just have to have a really good relationship, because I've seen it work, and I don't want to deter you from that idea, but you need to have a good relationship, okay? So if I know that Diane is working like crazy, and I know Diane is great at supporting her team. She excels at that. And maybe I go to a church somewhere and do a huge class and I enroll 50 people. And I say, Diane, I'd like to put 10 of these under you. I'm going to keep the enroller bonus and I'm going to put you as the sponsor. So that means Diane would get all of that volume, which would no doubt be beneficial. But the short-term gain would come to me. The long-term gain would go to her. Now, Diane and I have a great relationship. She may be like, hey, thanks. That's great. We can definitely work with that. But picture this. What if Diane was brand new and I'm saying, hey, Diane, I want to put 10 people under you. I'd like for you to figure out how to take care of them, and I'm going to keep the money for the first 3 months. That feels much different to me. So as long as I have an excellent working relationship with Diane and she and I are both on the same page and we understand where we're going and what we're doing. And Diane, by the way, I'd love to go do a workshop for a church and enroll 50 people and give you 10. I don't have that on the books at the moment, but if I get it, we'll all talk. But I'm just saying, try to think through it from every different perspective, okay? Because it doesn't always feel the same. It doesn't always feel like a gift if you're giving somebody the work and you're keeping the bonus. Do you see what I'm saying? So just know that you got to be on the same page, and then everything works great. Most of the time, if I'm going to strategically place someone, and I don't do it a lot, the only places that I've really done it are in my mom and Brian's mom's leg, because we're kind of creating what I call a leg of blessing, and I know that they're not building. Okay, so I'm kind of taking care of those people. But I do go ahead and give them both the sponsor and the enroller because we're building retirement funds for them. And it's kind of fun to be able to do that. So we're just kind of passing along all of that income to them, and we're benefiting from it because they're one of our diamond legs. So just try to be open-minded, and above all things, you guys, all that I can say as your leader is that this has always been and will always be a relationship business. So as long as you take care of your relationships with your people and you're on the same page, you know that you're all moving forward together and working collaboratively, you're not going to have a problem. That is the best advice that I can give you. So there's a lot of other little things that she put into that last chapter. Hopefully everybody has read that part. And if you have any other questions, put that on the page. Next week, we are going to be talking about the key to maintaining rank and reaching new ranks. Okay, that is chapter 19. And then, oh gosh, we go into one of my favorite topics, which is leadership and expanding your influence. So balance, boundaries, and treating your business like a business. And that is chapter 20. Okay, so 19 and 20 for next week. All right, so that would be, gosh, it's so funny. Today's the 13th. I even hesitate to say what day of the week it is because I can never remember. Isn't that terrible? Holy cow. 17th. What is today? 17th. So this would be April 24th is next Monday. In the meantime, this is the last week that I am going to be welcoming people into that Silver Hustle group and into the Gold Hustle group. So we have 2 new groups that just started, and they are revving up. So run into Silver and run into Gold. If either of those sound like a good fit for where you are right now and your goals and what you want to do, get into those groups. I'm going to close the doors because I don't want it to be a constant revolving door of people in and out. They're going to run from now until convention. And if they go on without me after that, that's totally fine. I won't disband them. But the intent is for it to be a serious push for a short amount of time. That's why it's called Hustle. And it's a lot of fun so far. So if you're not in one of those and that feels like a good fit for where you are right now, please come and join us. And otherwise, I will see you all next week. All right? So have a good day, guys. Go make it happen.